The established canon of high school film folklore holds a secured spot in every teenager's mind. Film from the likes of Mean Girls to Clueless to even High School Musical create a flimsy collage of a fabricated high school experience. The face value and accuracy of these movies lies in the opening credits alone. As a stream of names is accompanied by a cliched feel-good 90s top 10 hit, the audience is already drawn in. Casting directors intentionally hire actors who are years beyond their character's actual age, hoping to distract from the general disallure of puberty. The typical high schooler does not emphasize their appearance for school and is not a fully developed adult. However, due to child labor laws, it's easier and typically more endearing for directors to scout young adults. Not only is the age of the average high schooler not reflected, race and gender are also poorly conveyed. A study conducted by the Indiana University emphasizes the notion that children tend to feel worse about themselves after watching a multitude of television programs and movies, which are geared towards their specific age group. The groups most largely affected by this are largely Black children and white girls. This discrepancy between children of color and white girls is due to the fact that traditionally, Black and Latino stories are deemed undesirable by production companies. The characterization of Black girls in these sorts of movies typically feed into the narrative of a sassy, loud Black girl. Hollywood enforces extremely derogatory stereotypes for the humor of shock value. In hand, stories involving teenage girls typically exaggerate conflict, body types, and relationships. Many girls enter high school believing they are mature enough to have strong, long-term relationships. After all, that is what is modeled on the big screen. However, not only does the face value of these films inaccurately reflect high school modernity, the plots typically muddle the truth surrounding diversity, mental health, and course loads. Hollywood films rarely depict actual classroom settings where teachers create meaningful connections with their students, which help to foster academic engagement. Typically, teachers are caricatures, which are either condescendingly rude or altogether indifferent to the success of their students. Production companies believe teenagers are indifferent about their education and therefore fails to simulate a realistic classroom setting. In addition to the inaccuracy of creating realistic schools, the commonplace anxieties that come along with education are also swept under the rug. 1 in 5 teenagers will experience clinical depression. Take a look around the room. That could be 3 or 4 of us. Themes of mental illness are typically over-exaggerated for dramatic effect. Removing the dialogue surrounding mental illness from our media helps to further exacerbate the stigma surrounding it. The last group typically marginalized in the cinematic universe are LGBT+ youth. Although gay characters are beginning to be more and more commonplace, their sexuality is typically stereotyped. 92% of LGBT youth are impacted by overwhelmingly negative messages surrounding their sexuality. The use of queerbaiting has also widely impacted youth audiences. Production companies abuse LGBT audiences by not only circumnavigating their identities, but forging them as profit-winning token characters, and only that. Despite the overwhelmingly inaccurate canon of films, independent production companies are adapting screenplays which are genuine and relatable to youth. For instance, A24 released Lady Bird in 2017, a coming-of-age film which deals with social status, class differences, sexuality, family problems, and religious confusion. The film was a critical success, earning multiple accolades including 5 Oscar nominations. Lady Bird is one of a handful of realistic films available today. Many of these films were well received by youth audiences and gained cult-like followings. Their box office successes, however, paled in comparison to the glamorized scenarios found in Mean Girls. So, this poses the question, how do we make these movies more applicable to our motion picture audiences?